Alright, Packers Nation, buckle up because today's news hits on both sides of the ball. And it tells you a lot about how serious this front office is about staying in the Super Bowl conversation. What's up, everybody? Victor here, and this is Packers Nation Report. We're gonna start on defense, because the ripple effects of losing Jeff Hafley are real. This Packers defense finished top 12 in 2025, and for most of the season, this unit looked legit. Aggressive, faster, more physical. But now Hafley is gone. Miami scooped him up as their head coach, and Matt LaFleur is staring at one of the most important hires of his Packers tenure. And here's where it gets interesting. Green Bay just interviewed a former Packers corner for the defensive coordinator job. Yeah, that's it. 8 seasons in Green Bay. A guy who literally bleeds green and gold, and now he's coaching defensive backs. For the Chicago Bears, this is nostalgia, rivalry, football IQ, and risk all rolled into one. Does he bring toughness back to the secondary? Can he build on what Hafley started? Or is this a feel-good name that comes with real questions? We're gonna break all of that down. The fit, the scheme, the other names involved like Raheem Morris, Jonathan Gannon, Durante Jones, and what this decision means for a defense that just lost Micah Parsons to a season-ending ACL and still found ways to compete. But then, we flip to offense. And while it's not a blockbuster move, it tells you exactly how Green Bay thinks. The Packers quietly signed quarterback Kyle McCord to a futures contract. No headlines, no hype. But this is classic Packers football. A former 6th-round pick, Ohio State roots. Big final year at Syracuse. A developmental arm brought in to compete, push the room, and maybe surprise some people in camp. With Jordan Love as the guy, Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, and now McCord in the mix. This is about competition, depth, and upside. So today's video is really about this question. Are the Packers reloading, not rebuilding? And are these moves one big on defense, one quiet on offense? Signs of a front office that knows exactly what it's doing? We're breaking it all down. But before we do, smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed, because we are pushing hard for 1,500 subscribers, and every single one of you helps this channel grow and keeps Packers fans informed the right way. Man, this offseason is already getting real interesting. We lose our defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, to a head coaching job. The season ends in heartbreak, and now Matt LaFleur is staring at one of the biggest decisions of his entire Packers tenure. And today, we just got a name in this defensive coordinator search that should make every true Packers fan stop and say, wait a minute, I know that guy. Because yes, the Green Bay Packers have officially interviewed Al Harris for their defensive coordinator opening. A Packers legend, a former Bear, a coach with serious experience. So the question is this a feel-good reunion? Or is this actually a smart football move that could shape the future of this defense? We're breaking it all down today. Now, let's talk about what's really going on in Green Bay. Let's start with the big picture. The Packers season ended in absolute disappointment, blowing a 21-3 halftime lead and losing 31-27 to the Bears in the wildcard round. That's a nightmare scenario. But despite that collapse, the organization made one thing clear. Matt LaFleur is staying. Green Bay gave LaFleur a long-term extension, which means stability at the top, but now comes pressure. Because with Jeff Hafley leaving to become the head coach of the Dolphins, LaFleur has to nail this hire. This is not just about X's and O's. This is about identity. This is about whether this defense can stay elite or fall backwards. Let's give credit where it's due. Under Hafley in 2025, the Packers had a top 12 defense in the NFL. That's not opinion, that's fact. And a huge reason for that was the blockbuster trade that brought Micah Parsons to Green Bay. Before his ACL injury, Parsons was one of the most disruptive defenders in football. A weekly Defensive Player of the Year candidate, the engine of this entire unit. When he went down with that season-ending ACL tear, you could feel the drop-off. The defense fought, but the pass rush wasn't the same, and the margin for error disappeared. So now, the Packers aren't just replacing Hafley, they're preparing for a defense that must maximize elite talent when healthy. Now, let's talk about the man himself. Al Harris isn't just some random candidate. As a player, 8 seasons with the Packers, one of the most physical, confident corners this franchise has ever had. A Super Bowl champion, a tone setter in the secondary. As a coach, started with the Dolphins as an intern, spent 6 years with the Chiefs, 5 seasons with the Cowboys. Promoted to assistant head coach under Mike McCarthy in 2024. Then moved to Chicago in 2025 as DBS coach and defensive pass game coordinator. This is a guy who knows locker rooms, star players, pressure markets, modern passing, offenses, and yes, the irony is wild. He's currently coaching for the Bears, but now he's interviewing with the Packers. That alone tells you how respected he is around the league. Here's where it gets really interesting. Harris is a defensive backs guy. That means aggressive man coverage, emphasis on physicality at the line, ball skills, and turnovers. And let's be honest, this Packers defense has talent in the secondary, but it has been inconsistent. The big question is, can Harris coordinate an entire defense, not just coach DBs? That's why this interview matters so much. LaFleur isn't just looking for a coach. He's looking for a leader, a communicator, and someone who can adjust week to week in January football. And Harris isn't the only option. The Packers have also interviewed Jonathan Gannon, Durante Jones, and they're reportedly interested in Raheem Morris, who was just fired by the Falcons after back-to-back 8-9 seasons. Morris has a proven DC track record, especially with the Rams. That makes this decision fascinating. Do the Packers go proven schematic mind, young modern thinker, or a former Packers legend who commands instant respect? As a fan, I love the idea of Al Harris being involved, the toughness, the accountability, the edge. But I also need to see proof that he can. Run the full defense handle, in-game adjustments, maximize stars like Parsons. When healthy, this can't be just emotional. It has to be smart. And the fact that LaFleur is casting a wide net, that tells me the Packers are taking this very seriously. Now, I want to hear from you, Packers Nation. Drop a comment below. Do you want Al Harris as defensive coordinator? Or would you rather go with Raheem Morris or another option? Let's talk real football. While everyone is locked in on the big offseason headlines, defensive coordinator searches, coaching changes, playoff fallout, the Green Bay Packers just made a quiet move at quarterback that most fans probably missed. No press conference, no hype video, no breaking news banner on ESPN, but these are exactly the types of moves that tell you how a front office really thinks. Because the Packers have officially signed Kyle McCord to a futures contract, pulling him away from the Eagles and bringing him into Green Bay's offseason quarterback room. So, who is Kyle McCord? Why did the Packers bring him in? And does this actually mean anything for the QB depth chart? We're breaking it all down right now. And real quick, if you love Packers news with real context and fan-level analysis, hit that like button, subscribe to Packers Nation Report, and help us reach our goal of 1,500 subscribers. Let's keep growing this community. Now, let's talk about this move. First things first, let's explain what a futures contract actually is. If a player finishes the season on a practice squad, the moment the season ends, they become a free agent. That means any team can sign them to a futures deal. A futures contract is basically a low-risk deal, a come to OTAs and training camp and compete invitation. A way for teams to stockpile developmental talent without spending real money. So when the Packers sign Kyle McCord to a futures contract, this is not a commitment, it's an evaluation. Green Bay is saying, come in, learn the system, take reps, and show us something. Kyle McCord is an interesting developmental quarterback. He's from Mount Laurel, New Jersey, played at St. Joseph's Prep, and started his college career at Ohio State before transferring to Syracuse. And that final season at Syracuse, that's where he turned heads. McCord put up big passing yard totals, strong production in a pass-heavy offense, enough buzz to get drafted. The Eagles selected him 181st overall in the 6th round of the 2025 NFL Draft. However, once he hit the NFL, he struggled in preseason, got waived at final roster cuts, spent the entire year on the practice squad, no regular season snaps, no real opportunity to climb the depth chart. This part matters. The Eagles didn't keep McCord on a futures deal because they weren't married to the project. Philadelphia already has Jalen Hurts as the unquestioned starter, Tanner McKee under contract, and Sam Howell heading into free agency. Their QB3 and QB4 spots are going to churn anyway. So from Philly's perspective, McCord was just another day 3 swing that didn't immediately stand out. That's not an indictment. That's the reality of late-trend quarterbacks. The so-called QB factory produces a lot of inventory that never makes it to the showroom floor. Now, let's flip it to Green Bay. The Packers already have Jordan Love as the clear starter, Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, so Kyle McCord isn't coming in to threaten Jordan Love. Let's be very clear about that. This is about camp competition, practice reps, developmental upside. McCord is a live arm who can run the offense in OTAs, take preseason snaps, push the bottom of the depth chart, and if he looks competent while someone else doesn't, that's how you stick around. Let's be honest, Packers Nation. Futures contracts don't guarantee anything. Most guys signed to these deals never make the 53-man roster, are fighting for a practice squad spot, or become preseason depth, but every once in a while, a quarterback shows enough command, accuracy, or processing speed to earn more looks. And Green Bay has always valued development coaching, letting competition decide, so this is a smart, low-risk move that costs almost nothing and could return value. From a fan perspective, I like this move. Not because Kyle McCord is some hidden gem, but because this is exactly how you manage the back end of your roster. No panic, no overreaction, just smart evaluation. If he flashes, great. If he doesn't, no harm done. This is how serious organizations operate in the margins. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Do you like the Packers adding Kyle McCord? Or do you think this is just a camp arm with no real future? Let's talk football. And don't forget, like the video, subscribe to Packers Nation Report, and help us hit 1,500 subscribers. This channel grows because of you. I'm Victor, this is Packers Nation Report, and as always, go Pack Go!